Hey Cartons family, welcome to part 2 of how I met my father, my mysterious father to be specific. So yeah, stay tuned guys, watch until the end. Ensure to subscribe if you haven't already so that you can tune into my stories and get to know me through my stories, be it fictional or true life stories. Remember to comment in case you relate with my content. If you've ever gone through such a situation, like and share. Thank you. Bye. And we just talked a little bit because the both of us actually wanted to meet in person. But in spite of him mentioning my grandpa's names and where my grandpa used to live, he actually even mentioned my uncle. He was like, I was actually close to, because I remember my mom once told me that my father was actually close to one of my uncles, and my uncles also mentioned it, like that guy was my buddy. And I was like, yo, the problem with my uncle is he's too nice, like he's too nice of a person. But in my mind I was just like, you, like, why didn't you just grab him by the collar after he deserted me? Just grab him by the, because my uncle is like very tall. When the times when he, and at the time when he used to work at the mine, he was looking gigantic with muscles and all that. I was like, should have just grabbed him by the collar and slam dunked him. I don't know if it's slam dunked. It's been long since I watched wrestling. Yeah. And we decided to link up. At the time I was living with a friend, and I told this friend I have found my father. And this person was shocked. Like, what do you mean? I thought you didn't have a father or something like that. Like, what do you mean? I thought you didn't have a father. So I explained to them, and I explained to them like how I found him. But in my mind I was like, what if, okay, perhaps it could be the one, but what if he's like not a good person? What if he does something bad to me? Or what if he's actually not even the one, but perhaps, I don't know, he just had a hunch. But it was too good to be a hunch because the details he was giving were way accurate. So we decided to meet with this person. I don't know if he's ever gonna see this video, but I doubt it, because you know how elderly people are. Like, some of them don't even know that YouTube exists. But I don't know if he's ever going to see this video. But yeah, I don't know if I should be disclosing like where he lives, or I don't even know. I'm sorry to say this, no offense, no disrespect. I don't know if he's still alive. The time when I met him was in 2017 when I was living with a friend. So we met in an area wherever he was living. We decided to meet, and I was like, I need to be careful. Like, if this person asks me like, let's go home, you just don't, like, rush into doing something, even if you know this person is your person, right? Because what if he's actually like a bad person? Maybe he's a murderer, or I don't know. It's just tricky. Like, I had to be cautious. I was taking precautions. I was like, I need to be careful. In spite of me finding out this is like my father, I just can't, like, give in into anything. Let's go home and I'm there following him. No. So that was 2017. How old was I in 2017? Chill, let me count back. So that's how you know I'm old, okay? Let me count back. Okay, so I went back to count back. I was using my fingers. I don't know if there's anybody else who uses their fingers when they're counting, but even when calculating math, I do use my fingers, trust me. So for me, this is my 2025. 2025, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17. Okay? So I was 23 years old in 2017. Yeah. Now you can do the math as to how old I am now. I was 23 years old in 2017. So we met. I was waiting for him by a bus station. We met. And I saw him. I couldn't place his face anywhere because I didn't know this man. I don't know him. My mom didn't even show me any pictures. I don't know if they ever took any pictures when they were dating or whatever they were doing. Yeah, so I couldn't place his face anywhere because I didn't know him. Like, this was my first time seeing this face in my life. And the badness, I don't know if it's the badness, but the goodness for me, because I always thank God that I didn't look like this man, because he never chose to be my life. So, like, thank God I don't look like you. At the time when mom told me about him, I was like, thank God I don't look like him. I'm glad I look like you. So, seeing any features of me on him, there was nothing, because everything I have from head to toe came from my mom. Even the voice, everything, guys, even the intestines. Even the intestines. Nothing. I don't have any likeness from that man, and I'm grateful. So I couldn't see any features. Nothing. Not even the ears, the eyes, lips, nothing. Everything, I got them from my mama. Because he told me what he was wearing. And I ran. I ran towards him. I didn't have any anger. It was both anyways, but I just can't walk up to somebody like, you abandoned me. You abandoned us. No. So I ran towards him and I jumped on him, guys, and I hugged him. And I noticed he was short. Maybe it's just old age, because usually when people are growing old, they shrink. Perhaps he was taller when he was young, but I was like, Mom, why? I don't date short guys. Okay, he wasn't like shorter than me. I think I was just slightly taller than him, because I'm 5'3". Maybe he was 5'2". I'm not sure. I'm 5'3". So perhaps he was 5'2", somewhere there. But I was just a little bit taller than him. Just a little bit, maybe an inch taller. So I hugged him and I was happy, and I was like, Dad. I called him Dad, and I was like, Dad, and I was like, yes. And he called me by my real names, because he asked me like, what, because I told him my names. You playboy, like, if you were there, perhaps you would have given me a nicer name. I'm not complaining that my name is bad, but I don't know, sometimes I just think like, if I was given a different name, was my life going to be different? That's what I usually think. Those are the thoughts I usually have. Deep thoughts when I'm in my deep. So we hugged, and he looked genuinely happy to see me. And I remember when my mom used to tell me stuff about him, she was like, he is a mechanic. I looked at his hands, and they looked like a mechanic's hands. I was like, this is the playboy. This is him. No doubt, this is him. Like, I was convinced. And I didn't even ask like for him to show me his identity card, but he ended up showing it to me. He was like, here's my identity card. It's really me. I just want you to feel safe and know that it's me. So in my head, I was like, so if you playboy, you know that you are my father, like, how didn't you gain this interest to look for me and all that, or just to come back before I was even born and just make things right? Perhaps our lives would have been different. Yeah, so I showed him my identity card as well, because you know there's scammers out here nowadays, killers, murderers, ritualists. Yeah, so that's how come we started taking a walk just around his area. We started taking a walk while talking. Yeah, and he actually asked me on Facebook. Should have been on Facebook when he asked like, "Is your mom still alive?" And I told him, "No, she's not. She's not alive." Yeah, so we were just talking about random things, and I was telling him like where I am right now. I told him, he asked me like, are you done with university? I told him I was. Are you working? I told him I'm trying to find work. And this person, I don't know if it's just I don't know if it's just a man, like men just usually blabber about just about anything, and he was like, we're going to fix this. And I was like, God, this is you, God, like this is you, like you directed me to look for this man. Now look at me, I'm saved. Like, he started saying we're going to fix everything, like I actually own a company. I'm like, yo, okay, my life is about to change. I was just relieved anyway that I found my person, and I felt like I was gonna be saved now from what I was going through. I was like, wow, where have you been? You took too long to save me. I'm now 23. So he talked about school, like he asked me like, would you want to upgrade your qualifications? Or like, that's actually my goal. Like I want to upgrade my qualifications. He asked me, what did you study? I told him. I'm like, yeah, that's actually a good field you studied, because my friend also owns a company like mine, and I in case there's no like spot for you at the moment at my company, you can go work for him. And then he told me that he was married. I'm like, of course, playboy, how can you not be married by now? He told me he was married, and that he had, is it 4 kids? It should be 4 kids, and then the eldest was 18, I think. Did you say 18 or 17? Something like that. And I quickly looked at my fingers. I was like, I'm 23 and he's 18. Okay, playboy. Yeah. So he was like, I told my wife about you. And in my head, I was like, I don't even give an F about that bitch. I don't, like, I didn't want him to involve me with, because I know how it is. Already, when you're being kept by your own relatives, it's hard enough. And being kept by a stepmother, stepfather, that's hell on earth. But anyways, I did live with my stepdad. The man was married to my mom. And I told my wife about you, and we discussed that she should come and live with us. I was like, hell no. I told him I can't do that. I cannot do that. Like I'm old enough already. Like I'm not ready for that drama, guys. That's what I told him. I'm not ready. Like I can't. I actually, no, I actually didn't say I'm not ready, but I wasn't just ready for that drama. So I told him I can't move in with you. I'm already old enough. And that person, because he was saying, no, you shouldn't be scared. She's a Christian woman. And I was like, oh, so if somebody is a Christian woman, because me, I know people who are Christian people, and the things they have done and the things they do, not all of them, just some of them, it's just by name that these people are Christians. So like, and usually when people say, my mom is a good-hearted person, my dad is a good-hearted person, you don't have to worry about it, you can come and live with us, that's your mom, that's your dad. It's gonna be different for me. It's not going to be the same for me, trust me. That's just how life is. Like, truth be told, honestly speaking, your parents will be good to you. Any third party is gonna be different. So I was saying it in my head, like, you are just saying your wife is a good person. She's a good person to you because she's your wife, and she's a good person to her kids because those are her kids. I am nothing. Like, she would try her, and usually, just anyways, I don't blame anybody like for being different towards anyone. Life is just hard enough, like, to give out love to someone who's just not your flesh. It's hard. Like, you need to work hard. It's a job on its own. You need to work really hard who's not your flesh, to care about them, to treat them the same as your kids. I don't even blame anybody. That's why I am already old enough. I can't live with you and your wife. I will kindly ask. Right now I am living, because he asked me like, where are you living? I told him I'm living with a friend. Like, no, you can't be living with a friend. You need to be with family. So I told him I will kindly ask if you can then rent me an apartment. Okay, because I'm looking for work. I'm sure I'll start working soon, and I can start taking care of my bills. Okay, so I asked him like, if you could just kindly rent me an apartment. That I would really appreciate. Living with your wife, that will never happen. Or perhaps it would have, but it was going to take some time. Like, it needed baby steps to get there. I just can't jump into an ocean before learning how to swim, right? That's what I told my dad, my father. So he understood that, and he was like, yeah, that can be done. Yo, Me, I'm a woman of high standards. I'm a woman of high standards. Not that I'm like bragging, but that's just in me. Well, it depends with how you've been raised. Okay, it depends with how you've been raised. That's all I would say. But when it comes to doing certain things and living, I'm a woman of high standards. So this man now says, "Oh yeah, yeah. Anyways, there are usually rooms that are rented out. I don't mind living in a room, but the area, okay? Like I wouldn't mind, especially if perhaps my financial stability is not stable. I wouldn't mind like living in a one bedroom. I mean, in a one room apartment. But what matters to me is the area. In that area, are those people civilized? One, two, is it secure? Or when you step out, you're gonna find like your apartment has been busted in. Those are the things I look for. And I just like it when the place that I'm living in is very neat and comfortable. And okay, you guys get what I mean. Like I'm even just getting drained talking about it right now. Yeah, so now this person suggests this area, and I'm like, I could never live in that area. So I told him I can't live in that. I didn't say it in a bad way. I just said it like I can't live in that area. It's not safe. It's not secure. So he says, okay, what area can you move into? So I tell this person, look, dude, I'm already living with a friend. Like the money that you want to rent that apartment for, the money that you want to spend on renting an apartment for me, why not just give it to me so that I can start paying whilst living with this person, and then I can find an apartment somewhere where I want to be. So he's like, no, I don't want you to stay with this friend. You know, he was being a father. I don't want you to stay with friends. You either need to be alone or to be with us. So I told him, okay, fine. Well, the areas you're suggesting are not secure. I cannot live in those areas, is what I told him. That's what I told this man. So he understood that. And then he told me he was going to talk to his friend. Remember the friend that owns a company like him? I'm going to talk to my friend. I'm gonna let you know like when you can go for the interview. I'm like, wow, God. Wow. The plate just moved. Guys, if I look drowsy right now on the camera, I don't feel too good. But it's all good. The plate just moved in the sink, and I was like, okay. Yeah, so now my father talked to his friend that owns a company. And he calls me. I don't really remember like how the timelines were. It's not like all this was happening in one day when we met. It was happening on different days. It's just that it's been a while, so I don't remember. So my father called me and he tells me I needed to go for that interview, and he gave me the location of where his friend's company is. And I'm like, this is you, God. Like, this is you. Like, thank you for directing me to my father. In spite of him not being in my life, at least he's showing some effort. Yeah, that he cares about me. Because if he didn't, after texting him on Facebook, I don't think he was even gonna respond. He was just going to say, whoa, like, whoa, the past is haunting me, and he wasn't going to respond, right? So I saw him making efforts, and I was like, okay, you're a good father. So I go to his friend's company for the interview, and the way I was brought up, I'm used like dressing formally. Trust me, I said dressing formally when I was a toddler. Okay, being brought up in a Jehovah's Witness family, and I like the dressing, and I'm just used. Trust me, like even if I start working at a work where they're like, no, casual wear, I'm just used like dressing formally, and I love it. But I do wear casual. I do. But anyways, so I went there. I was dressed smartly and formally. And by the way, I love heels. I love it when I wear heels, when I'm dressed formally. That's when I feel, that's when I feel good. and I feel pretty when I'm in heels. Trust me, I really do feel good and pretty when I'm in my heels. If I'm not, sometimes I feel like I'm not looking good. And here will be somebody saying, wow, like you look good. Maybe if I'm walking in the road and I'm like, what is it you're seeing? Like when I'm not wearing heels, I always feel like I just look regular and ordinary. But when I'm wearing heels, I feel on top of the world. I feel like, yeah. Yeah, so I went for that interview. He was like, before we, get into a formal conversation, just tell me about yourself. Like where you are at in your life. Your father told me about you. And I'm like, wow, this man, like my father, like he's a really good man. Like, how come he wasn't making these efforts like to look for me or to come back? Because he's really showing that he's a really good man, right? So I'm like, oh, he told you about me. Wow, I felt good. Because we just met, like, it wasn't even a week. I mean, it wasn't even a month that had passed, and he was already telling people about me, his wife first, remember, and his kids. So that's how come. I told him about where I was in my life at that time. Then he said to interview me, and I answered the questions. And the last question he asked me, do you know how to drive? So the position was for an assistant, like administrative assistant. It needed me working in the office and also going out there in the field, because he told me I needed to be delivering some things to the clients and all that. So do I know how to drive? I told him I do, but I'm not skilled, because I was taught how to drive by a colleague. She taught me how to drive, so I know how to drive, but I'm not skilled. That's what I told him. Do you have a driver's license? I told him no. So he said that's something we need to work on, because you need to be driving. I was like, wow, God, you really do work in many ways, in miraculous ways. And I applauded myself for being smart. I was like, okay, I really do think outside the box when I'm in tough situations, and I don't resort to doing, like the wrong things to save myself. So now, what ruins this interview and what ruins this whole relationship with my father, which will get disappointed at the end, is this. So his friend asked me, your father told me that you actually don't live with him. After finishing your grade 12, you ran away from home and decided to start living alone, and you don't want to live with him. Why is that? Are you listening, guys? Are you listening, or should I rephrase it?